The Bahamas is a country full of beautiful islands that really thrives off of tourism. Because of this, many parts of it are often chosen for its scenery in various TV and film productions. As we all know, one of these productions included Aaliyah's Rock the Boat music video in August of 2001, which took place on the Abaco Islands, known for not only its beaches and attractions, but its beautiful seas. This could explain why it was chosen for the yacht dance sequence. But after the tragedy that took place, it's really worth noting how the Bahamas officials handled this investigation and its aftermath. There's even more evidence to suggest why Lenny Kravitz was even made aware to send his private jet in the first place as well. Now, just from a standard point of view, thinking about it, how did that look? A famous American singer comes to the famous tropical islands of the Bahamas to film a music video, but never makes it back home. And not only Aaliyah, but Eric Foreman, Anthony Dodd, Christopher Maldonado, Keith Wallace, Douglas Kratz, Gina Smith, Scott Gallen, and Morales. Yes, Aaliyah was a star, but there were other lives lost as well in such an unnecessary and preventable way. Aaliyah obviously had notoriety in the Bahamas because soon as she arrived, local Bahamians were already waiting for her at the airport. She even took this photo with a young fan, which was even originally falsely reported as her last picture ever taken. In an airy way, just days later, hundreds of locals would wait outside a Nassau, Bahamas funeral home as Aaliyah's body was transported to Newark, New Jersey, then eventually back to New York for her funeral. Looking at the aftermath, it almost appears as if they tried to sweep all of their deaths under the rug. All these years later, and there's still not even a memorial site in the areas Aaliyah shot the video or any form of remembrance. Actually, it's like they wanted it wiped from existence. Some may think a memorial site is extreme considering what happened, but that's actually common. For example, when popular 50 singer Buddy Holly was in a tragic plane crash in Iowa, they eventually turned it into a historical landmark with the monument of his iconic glasses. Rising singer Richie Valens was also on board with him, and a makeshift memorial to both of them still stands there to this day. Popular country singer Patsy Cline had a tragic similar fate in the 60s, and the memorial for her and her entourage is still at that site as well. After Left Eye had her car accident in Honduras, they even created a huge plaque for her that still remains there. But for Aaliyah and her crew, now in 2022, there's still nothing. Also, most tragic incidents involving high-profile celebs, like the ones just mentioned, really seem like incidents, whereas Aaliyah's seem so confusing, orchestrated, and manipulated. It really all comes down to what happened at that Marsh Harbor Airport, now known as the Leonard Thompson Airport. This is when they were supposed to fly back to Miami. That's where the blurred lines come in and have always been. Reports said the flight was over an hour late, and remember, the man interviewed saying Aaliyah's entourage exclaimed, "We must go, our things must go with us," thus leaving many to believe it was Aaliyah's own fault for being superficial. And like I discussed in the previous video, where is this footage of them at the airport? Of them lounging around, of them arguing, over 20 years ago, but I'm pretty sure that footage exists somewhere.
I would like to see it.
Aaliyah at the airport, her entourage at the airport, I'm pretty sure it exists. Wouldn't it have been a thing in the investigation to release the footage? It could have been a big thing, Aaliyah's last moments, and you can see on the tape Aaliyah lounging around or sitting around, or her entourage arguing with the pilot or arguing with the people at the airport. As they said, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Besides, he say, she say. Of course, this was over 20 years ago. It may seem null and void now, but it's really not. Now let's get into the plane that Aaliyah and her crew arrived to the Bahamas in. A Fairchild Metroliner, which from these pics show how spacious they are as they held up to 19 people. Now, let's get into the plane sent to pick up Aaliyah and her crew from the Bahamas. She did leave a day early, so they did have to make modifications to the original plane that was supposed to be sent. But look at this, a twin-engine Cessna 402B light aircraft. This is basically a step above being a crop duster. And for those that don't know, a crop duster is one of those smaller airplanes that they use to spray fertilizer over crops in a faster way. When this plane was sent to them, in no way, shape, or fashion should all 9 of them have been allowed to fly on this. Like, just look at this. Look at this. Just looking at these pictures are eerie enough, just knowing that this is a type of plane that they had to board. And not only all 9 of them, but all of their luggage. I mean, And according to the Bahamian officials, over 700 pounds was overloaded on a plane like this. It's not adding up, and it never did. They also said equipment used in the video shoot, plus one extra person that was allowed, was added on board. But as I said in my previous video, why would they bring extra equipment with them other than luggage when Hype Williams himself said he stayed back to get extra footage, which would have required the same equipment? Bahamian aviation officials also noted that the Cessna 402B aircraft Morales was flying may not have gone under fuel pump wiring modifications required 3 years prior to the accident. Particles and corrosion in the fuel filters also suggested routine maintenance had not been performed. Wow. 2 days after the crash, U.S. officials joined the investigation to add much needed support and media attention. It also recently came out how Lenny Kravitz had sent a plane for Aaliyah and her crew, but it ended up getting boarded by Hype Williams. How did Lenny Kravitz even get involved? Well, come to find out, not only were Aaliyah and Lenny connected to the same label at the time, Virgin Records, but Lenny also had deep roots in the Bahamas, had family from there, and represented the country so well that he was even named an ambassador for the Bahamas and participated in commercials to attract more tourists. In some way, Lenny Kravitz got contacted by someone and felt the need to help in the best way he knew how. The whole story with who and when has not been disclosed as of yet. It's also worth pointing out how only 6 years later, in 2007, a new runway was built at the airport to allow larger regional jets to operate from Marsh Harbor. And side note, in my previous video, when I talked about how they all could have just stayed in Miami, there were so many comments saying, Bahamas look so much better than Miami. The Bahamas look so much better than Miami. You have no idea. The Bahamas look so much better than Miami. That may be true, but for all this time, money, and energy spent going to the Bahamas to film the beach and yacht scenes, it did not look so extraordinary in the video that even warranted that extra travel there. Is it just me, or did the final video look low budget with not the best cinematography, especially compared to Hype Williams' previous music videos he directed? According to news reports, Gloria Knowles, an officer manager for Abaco Air, a local airline that flies in the Bahamas and Florida, said on that Saturday night she saw a pickup truck headed toward the plane with equipment and luggage that towered above the track's sideboards. She thought to herself, that's a lot of stuff to be on a plane with 9 passengers, she told AP News. Louis Key, a Bahamian pilot on Abaco, said he had heard rumors that the plane was overloaded, but he did not believe extra weight could have caused a crash if both of his engines were working. See, this is where they lose me. Both of them, plus many more, witnessed this overload of luggage and equipment, but did or said nothing, eventually shrugging it off.
Oh my God!
Safety protocols and violations were obviously not a priority. One of the biggest alleged revelations to come out of this was when a man named Kingsley Russell uploaded a video here on YouTube discussing what he witnessed as a 13-year-old luggage handler at the airport that day, securing the tip job by his aunt Annie Russell, who was handling the team's transportation and scouting locations for filming of the music video. Pushing back against her team, Russell stated Aaliyah had climbed into a taxi van complaining of a headache and said she was going to take a quick nap. Meanwhile, her camp continued to try to convince the pilot to fly them with all of their luggage, according to Russell. Eventually, Russell said a member of Aaliyah's team came to check on her, and the singer reiterated that she did not want to get in that tiny plane and that she had a headache. She was then given a sleeping pill by a quote-unquote team member. He claimed Aaliyah was then carried on board unconscious and was later shocked when he heard the loud crash just moments later. This video and his channel would mysteriously get deleted months later. To add on, author Kathy Iandoli also released more details of this account in her unauthorized biography of Aaliyah in August of 2021. This coming out has brought up many speculations, media allegations, and much discussion. This even made headlines, but some questions still remain. Wouldn't this sleeping pill have been brought up in Aaliyah's toxicology report from the autopsy? Wouldn't this have made the news back then? And why would her team be in such a rush in demand to get back if they knew the safety concerns and if Aaliyah herself was hesitant to board in the first place? There goes those missing puzzle pieces that have yet to be found and connected. It has gotten to the point where now this accident seems like a huge industry secret so many know about but are afraid to speak on. This may have been over 20 years ago, but I still believe there's someone out there that knows more that's just not saying anything. If anyone from or currently in the Bahamas would love to share more details or insight, you're more than welcome to down below in the comments or privately through my contact info, which will be in the description box. Regardless, this was such a senseless and tragic loss for all involved, and many protocols could have been taken to prevent it. Sad to say, the Bahamas did not end up being a paradise they intended it to be. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.